The warning signs had been accumulating for months, though I refused to acknowledge them. Every conversation with Wendy seemed to deteriorate into an argument. My attempts at thoughtfulness were reinterpreted as efforts to control her. Simple questions about her day became interrogations in her mind. When I'd ask if she wanted me to pick up groceries, she'd accuse me of micromanaging her schedule. If I suggested we spend the evening together, I was being clingy and suffocating. But that Tuesday evening caught me completely off guard. I genuinely believed we were navigating normal relationship challenges, the kind every couple faces after years together. I thought we'd work through it, communicate better, find our rhythm again. I was wrong. The evening started ordinarily enough. I'd finished work around 6, stopped at the market to grab ingredients for dinner, and arrived home by 6:45. Wendy wasn't there yet, which wasn't unusual. Her schedule at the consulting firm often ran late. I unpacked the groceries, started preparing a salad, and then remembered something she'd mentioned 3 weeks earlier about a Mediterranean restaurant near the Harbor District that had excellent seafood pasta. The memory sparked an idea. Why not surprise her with a reservation this weekend? Something nice, romantic, just the two of us away from the apartment and its accumulated tensions. I grabbed my phone and opened her calendar app. We'd shared access years ago for practical reasons, coordinating schedules, avoiding double booking, that sort of thing. I scrolled through to Saturday evening, checking if she had any commitments I'd forgotten about. That's when I heard her key in the lock. The door opened at exactly 7:28. I remember checking the clock later, retracing every moment, trying to understand where it all went wrong. She walked into the living room, set down her work bag, and her eyes immediately locked onto my phone sitting on the coffee table, her calendar clearly visible on the screen. The transformation was instantaneous. Her expression shifted from tired to furious in a heartbeat. "What are you doing?" she demanded, her voice sharp and cold. I looked up, confused by her tone. "Just checking your schedule. I wanted to make dinner reservations for Saturday at that place you mentioned." She cut me off mid-sentence. "You're checking my calendar? My private calendar?" The accusation hung in the air. I stood up, genuinely bewildered. We've always shared calendars. I was planning something nice for us. But she wasn't hearing me. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You can't help yourself. You need to know where I am every second, what I'm doing, who I'm with. It's suffocating, Peter. I can't breathe in this relationship." I tried to explain again about the restaurant reservation, but my words seemed to bounce off an invisible wall. She'd already decided what this meant, what I was doing, what my intentions were. Nothing I said would change her interpretation. The argument escalated quickly from there, her voice rising with each exchange, my confusion deepening with every accusation. Then she said the words that changed everything. "I can't do this anymore. I need you to back off completely." That's when I noticed the overnight bag positioned by the door. Not tossed there hastily, placed deliberately, packed with care, laptop case beside it with the power cord wrapped in that meticulous way she always did it. Her car keys were already in her hand. This wasn't a spontaneous decision made in the heat of argument. She'd planned this. Probably packed before she even left work that morning. "Back off from what?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "What exactly did I do wrong?" She wouldn't engage with the question. "I need space. Real space. I'm staying with Rebecca for a while. I'll reach out when I'm ready on my terms. Don't call me. Don't text me. Just don't." The specificity of her instructions struck me as odd even in that moment. Not "give me a few days," or "let's take a break," but explicit commands: "Don't call, don't text, just don't." The door closed behind her at 7:53 p.m. I stood frozen in the same spot for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 60 seconds, staring at the empty space where she'd been standing, half expecting her to return, to say she'd overreacted, to suggest we talk this through like adults who'd spent 8 years building a life together. But the door remained closed. The apartment remained silent. The space felt different immediately, not physically larger, but emptier in a way I'd never experienced. My footsteps echoed on the hardwood floors as I walked slowly to the kitchen. Her coffee mug from that morning still sat in the sink, coral lipstick stains visible on the white ceramic rim. I could hear the neighbor's television through the wall, some game show with canned laughter and enthusiastic applause. I'd never noticed that sound before because our apartment was always filled with noise, conversations, music streaming from her speaker, her voice on work calls, the ambient sounds of two people coexisting in shared space. Now there was just silence and the muffled television next door, and the hum of the refrigerator and my own breathing. That night, I couldn't bring myself to sleep in our bedroom. It felt too intimate, too much a space we'd shared, too full of her absence. Sleep came in fragments. At 3:17 a.m., I gave up on sleep entirely and checked for messages, squinting at the bright screen in the darkness. Nothing. No texts, no missed calls, no voicemails. I spent the next 2 hours trapped in a mental loop, analyzing everything. Was it really just about the calendar? Had I said something earlier that day, that week, that month that had been building toward this moment? Was I actually controlling and just couldn't see it? Or was I being considerate in a way she'd decided to interpret as controlling? The questions spiraled endlessly with no answers, no resolution, just the same thoughts circling back on themselves. Wednesday morning arrived with gray light filtering through the windows. At the office, I functioned on autopilot, responding to emails without really reading them, attending a team meeting without absorbing a single word spoken. Around 11:30, I made a decision. I'd send one text. Just one. Simple, non-confrontational, showing concern without pushing. I typed carefully. "Hey, I just want to make sure you're okay. Can we talk about what happened?" I hit send and then did something I'm not proud of. I watched my phone for 10 solid minutes, waiting for the read receipt to appear, for the 3 dots indicating she was typing, for any sign she'd received and acknowledged my message. Nothing came. I forced myself to set the phone face down on my desk and return to work. At 2:45 p.m., my phone buzzed. I grabbed it too quickly, too eagerly. Her response was brief and cutting. "I told you not to contact me." "I meant it. Back off." My stomach dropped. I'd followed her instructions for exactly 18 hours before breaking. I typed back carefully, choosing each word. "I understand. I'm sorry. I thought that would be the end of it." But 5 minutes later, another message arrived. "You never listen. This is exactly the problem. Just stop." That evening, sitting in the quiet apartment, I made a series of deliberate choices. I silenced notifications from her number. Messages would arrive without alerts or interruptions. I disabled our location sharing, something we'd maintained for years. I removed her from my favorites list and changed my emergency contact from wife Wendy to brother Lucas. On social media, I unfollowed her. Finally, I turned off read receipts for her number specifically. When finished, I exhaled deeply for the first time in days. She demanded space. I was providing it completely. Thursday morning brought unexpected lightness. I prepared a full breakfast: eggs, sausage, buttered toast, foods Wendy always criticized as unhealthy. At the office, my colleague Derek noticed. "You seem different. Less tense." That Friday, my friend Tyler invited me to beach volleyball. I'd declined such invitations for years. This time I accepted immediately. Saturday at Manhattan Beach, I reconnected with old friends I'd abandoned. We played for 2 hours, then grabbed lunch. Tyler asked what had happened to me. "Got into a relationship, lost myself," I explained. "Now I'm recovering." For 3 straight hours, I hadn't thought about Wendy once. Work improved dramatically. My supervisor Janet praised my latest quarterly analysis and assigned me to the high-profile Anderson initiative. When Derek questioned my transformation, I revealed, "My wife left last week." His concern dissolved when I added, "I'm genuinely better off." Thursday evening, I returned to Summit Rock Gym for the first time in 3 years. Wendy had despised climbing, too dangerous, too exhausting. My instructor Sophia welcomed me back enthusiastically. Every muscle ached afterward. It felt magnificent. Friday, Rebecca called. "Wendy's struggling. Haven't you reached out?" I reminded her of Wendy's explicit instructions. "But shouldn't you show you care?" Rebecca pressed. "I'm showing respect by honoring her request," I replied. The conversation ended awkwardly. By week 3, my calendar had filled organically with activities I'd abandoned years ago. Tyler texted about volleyball every Saturday morning. Sophia invited me to Friday evening climbing sessions followed by beers at the brewery next door. Mason, a younger guy I'd met at the gym, asked about hiking Torrey Pines Reserve the following weekend. I said yes to everything. I'd also started doing sunrise photography again at Crystal Cliffs. For years, Wendy had said, "Why do you need to wake up so early? Just take pictures later in the day. You're wasting sleep, and then you're tired all evening." I'd gradually stopped, my camera sitting unused in the closet. Now I was waking at 5:30 a.m. twice a week, driving to the coast, capturing the light as it changed minute by minute. I posted one shot to social media: golden hour light hitting the rock formations, waves frozen mid-crash. It got 47 likes within an hour and 3 comments asking where I'd been, saying they'd missed my photography. Thursday of week 3, my phone rang during lunch. Emma Caldwell, Wendy's best friend since college. This wasn't going to be pleasant. "We need to talk about what you're doing to Wendy," she said without preamble. "What am I doing?" I asked calmly. "You're ghosting her. Completely ignoring her. She's devastated. She told me to back off and not contact her," I explained. "I did exactly that. She didn't mean it literally, Peter. That's obvious. How else should I interpret 'don't call me, don't text me, just don't'? Those words seem pretty clear. She wanted you to show you cared by trying anyway. By fighting for the relationship. That's manipulation," I said flatly. "If she wants to talk, she knows exactly where to find me." Emma hung up on me without another word. Week 4 brought a comfortable rhythm. Wake at 6 a.m. every morning. Full breakfast without criticism. Early arrival at work. Focused work sessions with 0 phone distractions. Lunch with Derek discussing the Anderson project. Evenings split between climbing gym, volleyball practice, photography sessions. Home by 9 p.m., in bed by 10:30, sleeping 7.5 solid hours without waking. Wednesday afternoon, Janet called me into her office again. "The Anderson project preliminary results are genuinely impressive. I'm recommending you for principal scientist position. It comes with a significant raise, more autonomy, leadership responsibilities. Whatever's changed in the last month, it's clearly working. Keep it up." Thursday evening, Rebecca texted, "Wendy is really hurt that you haven't reached out. Can you please just call her?" I responded simply, "She told me not to. I'm following her instructions." Rebecca replied, "You're being stubborn." I wrote back, "I'm being consistent." Friday, Wendy's mother left a voicemail. We'd always had a good relationship. She'd welcomed me into the family warmly, treated me like a son. "Peter, honey, Wendy really needs to hear from you. I think there's been some miscommunication here. She made a mistake and she's too proud to admit it. Please just think about reaching out. She's miserable." I listened to the voicemail twice, then deleted it without calling back. Monday morning of week 5 changed everything fundamentally. I had a major meeting scheduled, quarterly review with Janet and the entire executive team, presenting the Anderson project preliminary findings to the people who could greenlight full expansion or shut it down entirely. 7:30 a.m. start time in the main conference room. This was the biggest professional moment of my career. My phone went into my bag on silent mode before I even left my apartment. The notifications from Wendy's number had been disabled for 4 weeks anyway, so even if I'd kept my phone out, I wouldn't have seen anything. But meetings like this demanded complete professionalism and focus. The meeting ran long, really long. We went extraordinarily deep into the data, discussed various expansion possibilities, examined timeline projections from multiple angles, debated resource allocation strategies. Questions came from every direction. The CFO wanted detailed cost-benefit analysis. The VP of Operations wanted feasibility assessments for 3 different scenarios. Janet backed my work consistently, which helped tremendously, but I still needed to defend every projection, every assumption, every conclusion with supporting data. When we finally wrapped up at 11:15 a.m., I was mentally exhausted, but also energized in that particular way you feel when something significant goes exceptionally well. Several executives had nodded approvingly during my presentation. The CFO had actually said she was impressed with the thoroughness of the analysis. Janet caught my eye as everyone filed out and gave me a subtle but clear thumbs up. Back at my desk, I collapsed into my chair and pulled out my phone to check if Derek had texted about lunch plans. The notification on my lock screen stopped me cold. 91 messages. I sat there staring at those 2 numbers for several seconds, not quite processing the information. 91 messages. That couldn't be right. There must be some error, some glitch. I opened my phone with my fingerprint and scrolled through the messaging app. All 91 messages were from Wendy. Every single one. Starting at 8:42 a.m. "Hey, are you there? Hello? Can we talk? Please respond. I really need to talk to you." 9:35 a.m. "Why aren't you answering? This is important. Are you seriously ignoring me right now? I can't believe this. Answer your phone. Where are you? 10:22 a.m. This is absolutely ridiculous. You can't just ignore me when I need to talk. I need to see you. Answer me right now." They escalated from there, confusion morphing into frustration, frustration into anger, anger into desperation, then cycling back to anger again. The timestamps showed the progression clearly. By 10:57 a.m., the final message arrived. Fine. I'm coming to your office. Below the messages, 39 missed calls. All from her number. All during the 3.5 hours I'd been in that conference room, presenting potentially the most important work of my entire career. I sat back in my chair, phone cradled in both hands, and felt something unexpected. Not panic, not guilt, not an immediate urge to call her back and explain where I'd been. Just a strange, detached observation forming in my mind. She'd sent 91 text messages in just over 2 hours. 91 messages to someone she'd explicitly told not to contact her. I typed a response, kept it simple and factual. I was in a meeting with executives. What's going on? 3 dots appeared instantly on the screen. She was watching her phone, waiting. Stay there. I'm in the parking lot. The receptionist called my desk extension 5 minutes later. Peter, there's someone here in the lobby to see you. She says it's urgent. She seems pretty upset. I knew exactly who it was. My stomach tightened involuntarily, but I stood up and walked toward the lobby anyway. There was no avoiding this. Walking through the office toward the main lobby felt surreal. My building features floor-to-ceiling glass walls everywhere, part of that open office design philosophy that's supposed to encourage collaboration and transparency. Through the transparent panels, I could see Wendy standing near the reception desk even before I reached the main area. She looked completely disheveled in a way I'd never seen during our entire relationship. Her hair was pulled back in a messy, hasty knot with strands falling loose around her face. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying, mascara smudged beneath them. Her hands were shaking visibly at her sides. She was wearing gray sweatpants and an old college hoodie, clothes I'd never seen her wear outside our apartment, clothes she'd normally reserve for sick days or lazy Sunday mornings. The lobby itself was fairly busy at that time, probably 15 or 20 people in the immediate vicinity. Some were getting coffee from the machine near the windows. Others were waiting for meetings in the guest seating area. A few colleagues were having conversations near the elevator banks. As I walked into the space, I could feel attention shifting toward us, subtle but unmistakable. People recognizing that something unusual was happening. Wendy saw me and immediately walked over quickly, almost stumbling, her coordination off. Where were you? She demanded loudly enough that several people turned to look. Why didn't you answer your phone? I kept my voice deliberately calm and low, acutely aware of our audience. I was in a meeting. My phone was off for 3 hours. It was an important presentation to the executive team. She wasn't hearing me or didn't care. I called you 39 times, Peter. 39 times. I didn't see them, I said evenly. I was working. My phone was on silent in my bag. She was crying now, not quietly, not making any attempt to control her volume or composure. Why haven't you reached out even once? It's been 4 whole weeks, and you just disappeared like I mean nothing. Several colleagues had stopped moving entirely. I could see Derek standing frozen near the coffee station, mug halfway to his mouth, eyes wide. 2 women from the accounting department were staring openly, not even pretending to be engaged in conversation anymore. Janet walked by carrying a folder, slowed her pace, made direct eye contact with me. Her expression asked a clear question. Do you need help? I gave her a subtle headshake. I lowered my voice further, trying to de-escalate through tone and volume. You told me specifically not to contact you. I respected your request. I didn't think you'd actually do it for this long, she practically shouted. The words echoed off the glass walls and polished floors. Someone's phone buzzed unanswered. A door opened and closed somewhere in the distance. You told me to back off, I said quietly. You were very specific. So I backed off. That's exactly what you said you wanted. No. Her voice cracked. I wanted you to show that you cared enough to fight for us. We can't do this here, I said, glancing around at the crowd of onlookers. This is my workplace. I don't care, she cried. You've been ignoring me for a month like I don't exist. I haven't been ignoring you, I replied, maintaining my calm tone with effort. I've been giving you exactly what you asked for, space and distance. Those were your words, not mine. Janet appeared again, moving more slowly this time, watching the scene develop. Our eyes met briefly. I could see concern in her expression, but also trust. She was letting me handle this, but was available if needed. I turned back to Wendy, who was now sobbing openly, her whole body shaking. Every single person in the lobby was watching us. The normal ambient sounds of the office, conversations, keyboard clicks, phone calls, had gone completely silent. "We need to leave now," I said firmly but gently. "Please. We can talk outside." She finally nodded, wiping at her face with her sleeve in a gesture so vulnerable it made my chest ache despite everything. In the parking lot, away from the glass walls and watching eyes, she continued crying. "I can't believe you just disappeared like I didn't matter at all." "You told me to," I said. Multiple times, very explicitly. "I didn't mean forever. I didn't mean you'd just abandon me completely. You said you'd contact me on your terms when you were ready," I reminded her. "I was waiting for you to do exactly that. You couldn't check in even once in 4 weeks? Just once to see if I was okay. You were very clear that if I contacted you, it would prove I wasn't listening to you. So I listened. That's what you said you wanted." She stared at me, tears still streaming down her face. "You've changed. You're different now. You're cold. You don't care about me anymore." I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. "I care enough about you to respect your words and take them seriously. If that seems cold to you, then I genuinely don't know what else you want from me." "I want you to want to be with me," she cried. "Then why did you leave?" I asked. "Why did you tell me to back off completely?" "Because you were suffocating me. You were always asking where I was, what I was doing, checking my schedule. I checked your calendar once to make dinner reservations." I interrupted. "That's not suffocating. That's trying to plan something nice." "You don't understand what it felt like," she said. "You're right," I agreed. "I don't understand. You asked for space. I gave you all of it. Complete space. And now you're upset that I actually did what you asked. I don't understand that at all." Silence stretched between us. The afternoon sun beat down on the parking lot asphalt. Cars drove past on the street beyond. Life continued normally everywhere except in this small bubble we occupied. "Can we talk about this properly?" she asked quietly. "When?" "Tonight. At home. We can talk at home." "Not at home," I said. "Neutral place. Riverside Park. 6 o'clock. By the conservatory." "Why not at home?" she asked. "Because I need boundaries," I explained. "You showed up at my workplace and caused a scene in front of my colleagues and supervisors. That's not okay. We'll talk in public, in neutral space." She looked hurt but nodded. "Fine. 6 o'clock." She drove away. I stood in the parking lot for a moment, then returned to the office. Derek intercepted me immediately. "Hey, you okay?" That looked intense. "Yeah," I said. "It was intense. But I'm okay." "You handled it really well," he observed. "Stayed calm, didn't escalate. That takes serious self-control." "Thanks," I said, meaning it. At my desk, I realized my hands were shaking slightly. But I also realized something else, something important. I wasn't backing down. I wasn't apologizing for respecting her explicitly stated wishes. I wasn't folding under the pressure of her tears and accusations. I was holding firm on the boundaries I'd established. And that felt significant. I arrived at Riverside Park at 5:55 p.m. The sun hung low over the downtown buildings, casting everything in that particular golden hour light photographer's chase. Tourists wandered through the gardens with cameras and selfie sticks. A street musician played classical guitar somewhere nearby, the notes drifting through the warm evening air. The conservatory stood elegant against the early evening sky, its Victorian glass and iron structure filtering light in geometric patterns across the lawn. Wendy was already there, sitting on a wooden bench near the entrance. She'd cleaned herself up since the morning, hair brushed and pulled back neatly, makeup carefully reapplied, wearing actual clothes instead of the sweatpants and hoodie, a sundress and sandals. She looked like herself again, composed and put together. But she'd been crying again recently. You could tell from the slight puffiness around her eyes, the redness that makeup couldn't quite conceal. I sat beside her on the bench, deliberately leaving about a foot of space between us. Close enough for conversation, far enough to maintain the boundary I'd established by insisting on this public meeting instead of the privacy of our apartment. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. "You said we needed to talk," I replied. She nodded, twisted her hands together in her lap. "I've had a lot of time to think over these 4 weeks. A lot of time alone with my thoughts." I waited, said nothing, let her continue at her own pace. "I made a mistake," she said finally. "I shouldn't have left like that. I shouldn't have told you not to contact me. That wasn't fair." Still I waited. Let her finish whatever she needed to say. "I was scared," she continued, her voice wavering slightly. "You were always so present in my life, always there, always asking about my day and my plans and my schedule. I felt like I couldn't breathe sometimes, like I had no space that was just mine, like every moment of my life had to be shared and explained. She paused, took a shaky breath. But then when you actually gave me the space I asked for, when you really backed off completely, I realized I didn't want it. I didn't want all that distance. I wanted you to be there, just differently somehow. So you tested me, I said. It wasn't a question. She hesitated, seemed to wrestle with the admission. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe subconsciously I did, yes. Maybe I wanted to see if you'd chase me, if you'd ignore what I said and contact me anyway because you couldn't stand to be apart. You wanted to know if I cared enough to fight for the relationship, I said, even though fighting for it meant disrespecting your explicitly stated boundaries. She nodded slowly. When you put it like that, it sounds manipulative. Because it was, I said gently but firmly. You set a test where the only way to pass was to fail to respect your words. That's not healthy communication. That's not how adults should treat each other. More tears started flowing. I just wanted to know you cared enough. And when I didn't chase you, when I took your words at face value and respected them, you decided I didn't care, I continued. You really didn't contact me even once in 4 whole weeks, she said, as if still unable to believe it. You told me not to, I replied. Explicitly, in very clear terms. Multiple times. But you could have. You could have checked in just once. No, I said firmly enough that an elderly couple walking past with their dog glanced over. I softened my tone slightly, but kept the firmness. No, I couldn't. You set a boundary. A very specific, very clear boundary. I respected it. That's how healthy communication is supposed to work. You say what you mean. I listen. I take you seriously. I don't play games trying to decode what you secretly wanted me to do instead of what you actually said out loud. I just wanted you to fight for us, she whispered. Fighting for us means respecting you enough to take your words seriously, I replied. She asked what happens now. I'd considered this extensively. The past 4 weeks, I've done things I stopped when we got together, seeing friends, climbing, photography, volleyball. I've been happier, sleeping better, got that promotion. Everyone noticed the change. So you're happier without me. I'm happier without constant tension, without feeling I'm always wrong, walking on eggshells trying to figure out if you mean what you say. After a long silence, she asked quietly, Do you want to try again? I took my time. Honest answer, I don't know. You left, told me specifically not to contact you, then got angry when I listened. That's not healthy for either of us. I can change, she offered. Can you? Or will we be back here in 6 months with a different version of the same test? That's not fair, she protested. It's honest. You told me to back off. I did. You showed up at my office crying because I took you at your word. That's not a foundation to build on. I think we both need real time to figure out who we are separately, I concluded. She stood abruptly. You want a divorce? I won't chase someone who told me to back off and then punishes me for listening. If you want to work on this, we'd need counseling. Real counseling. And you need to mean what you say. She walked away without looking back. I sat watching the sunset for 20 more minutes. Over 3 days, Wendy sent 14 texts pleading to talk. I responded once. I need time to think. Please respect that. After the 3rd day, she stopped. 3 months after Wendy left, divorce papers arrived. I signed and returned them the same day. No hesitation. For months later, I moved to a smaller apartment in Brookside. Entirely mine, decorated my way, climbing photos on walls. I'd bought a surfboard, Tyler was teaching me. Work remained excellent. I mentored staff, led projects, felt engaged. Socially, life was full: volleyball, climbing, monthly hikes, photography sessions. 9 months in, our volleyball team won a Pacific Beach tournament. Tyler remarked, I didn't think you'd stick with it, but you're completely committed. I forgot how much I missed having a life beyond one person, I replied. His girlfriend Morgan smiled. That's healthy. Relationships should add to your life, not become your entire life. Scrolling social media later, I saw Wendy had posted with someone new looking happy. I felt nothing, no jealousy, no regret. Just mild approval, then kept scrolling. She wanted space. I gave it to her, and to myself. Best decision I ever made. Thank you for watching the video to the end. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. A playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to is now displayed on the screen. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.